You're listening to the School Leadership Reimagined podcast, episode 175. How do builders like us make a dramatic difference in the lives of our students in spite of all the obstacles we face? How do you keep your vision for your school from being held hostage by resistant teachers, uncooperative parents, ridiculous district policies, or a lack of time, money, or resources? If you're facing those challenges right now, here's where you'll find the answers, strategies, and actionable tips you need to overcome any obstacle you face. You don't have to wait to make a difference in the lives of the people you serve. You can turn your school into a success story right now with the people and resources you already have. Let's get started. Hey builders, welcome to another episode of the School Leadership Reimagined podcast. I'm your host, Robyn Jackson, and today we're going to talk about something that educators almost never talk about. Well, we don't like to talk about, and that's the word failure. And the reason we're going to talk about it is because one of the things that's disturbing me right now is that a lot of educators who haven't quite made the leap to buildership are really, really afraid of failure. And I get it. I mean, failure can be scary. But when you're a builder, you know how to handle failure and you know how to actually use failure for your advantage. And so today I want to talk about failure and how builders fail differently. And hopefully that'll be an encouragement to you if you're feeling a little afraid of failure right now. You can learn how to fail like a builder. Now, before I do that, I have three things that I want to quickly go over. The first is that tickets are now available to Builders Lab. So Builders Lab is happening at the end of January, and we're doing it virtually again. You know, a lot of people have asked us, what's your secret? How are you able to have such an amazing experience and it be virtual? And the answer is that we are very intentional about ensuring that we take care of all of your senses. We call it a 360-degree experience. So it's not just you sitting in front of a laptop all day, while the presenter drones on and on with the slides. It's highly interactive. We believe that you should learn something and then immediately apply it. So you shouldn't go to a conference and learn something and then wait to get back to your school to apply it. You should learn it and then apply it right then and there. So we are teaching, and then as soon as we finish teaching, you apply it. So that way we can make sure you understand it before you leave. And if you have questions, we can jump in and answer those questions. If you get stuck, we can help you get unstuck, so that when you leave Builders Lab after 3 days, you not only have a new skill set, but you have the confidence that when you go and apply it into your school, it's going to be right. And so Builders Lab is happening. And, the last couple of times we've had Builders Lab, the tickets have sold out. I anticipate it's going to happen again this time in January. January has sold out for the last 2 years. So the January Builders Lab looks like it might sell out again this year. And that's because people who come, a lot of people come back. They come back again for the next year because of the experience that they had. I want to come back. I want to get more out of it. They come back and they bring their team with them. And I anticipate that's going to happen again. So you need to get your Builders Lab tickets. And the earlier you get your tickets, the better off, because then you can secure everything and make sure you have your spot. So all you need to do to get your tickets is go to mindstepsinc.com/builders-lab. That's mindstepsinc.com/builders-lab. Second really cool thing that's happening is that doors are opening for our next Buildership University cohort. And one of the reasons why you just can't join Buildership University at any time is because it's a curated experience. It's not a membership site. It's a mentorship. When you join Buildership University, I personally mentor you through the process of installing the entire Buildership system in your school. And so we bring you in as a cohort so that you are working together step by step through that process. And that way, you don't get lost. We know where you are. We know what you're working on. We know the support you need. You get very personalized attention. A lot of people who are in Buildership University, they're just like, wait a minute, I cannot believe that I get individual feedback on my work. Yes, that's part of it. You have projects that you're working on. You learn something and then again, you immediately apply it. And those projects are not homework. Those projects are about you taking what you've learned and implementing it in your practice in your school to make your school better. And you should hear the things that people are already experiencing, the wins that they're experiencing after being in Buildership University for as little as 1 month. Because in that first month, you get your vision, you learn how to tell your vision story so that you can get other people to understand and buy into your vision. And you start that mission process, and then you get quickly moving on to core values. By the time you finish the first level of Buildership University, you have a vision, mission, core values. You also have a School One plan, which is something new that we just started inside of Buildership University. It's incredible. I love this tool where you go through and you're identifying of all the things that we could be doing. What is the one most important thing we need to be doing in these critical areas of our school if we're going to achieve our vision? And armed with that one plan, you now have focus. And then you also get an alignment architecture. You put that in place to make sure that the work you're doing stays in alignment with your vision, mission, and core values. That's just in level 1. And then from level 2 and 3 and 4, you just go on and on and on. And so if you want to join Buildership University, you can't get in all the time, but doors are opening this week. You have until Friday to join this cohort. If not, you'll have to wait until the next cohort comes along. So go to buildershipuniversity.com to get your spot in this next cohort. The last thing is that we have been doing something, and I talk about it kind of on social media, but I realize I don't talk about it here. And you're my people, right? So I don't know why I've been keeping this from you, but I'm not going to keep it from you anymore. We are doing free vision workshops over inside of Buildership University. Because your vision is so important, we want to make sure you get it right. So we are doing free vision workshops, and you can go to buildershipuniversity.com and look for the pop-up that tells you how to sign up for the vision workshops. They're absolutely free. And you come on the workshop. I spend about 10 minutes teaching what a vision is and how a builder's vision is different and giving you some examples. And then everybody who's on the call at the beginning gets individual coaching. I mean, how often do you do that? You go to workshops, you kind of sit and get, but on the vision workshops, if you're there when we start, then you're guaranteed. Now, if you show up afterwards, if we have time, we'll get to you. If we're not, you'll have to come back. But if you're there the moment we start, I will go through each person in order of when you arrived, and I will help you with your vision. You will get individual coaching. And even if you're not being coached at that moment, listening to other people get coached is so valuable. People are like, oh, that's opening up so much for me. Oh, I didn't consider that. I had that question too. And so this is not a workshop where you can sit and watch the recording later on. When you show up, come prepared to get the support you need. And then the nice thing about the vision workshops is because they're free, you can come back as many times as you want. So we have people come by one time, try some things, go back, think about it, come back the next time we have a vision workshop, say, here's where my thinking is, get some more feedback, come back a third time and say, okay, this time I've got it, and get some feedback, and then walk out of that out of that workshop with a clear vision. It's like the coolest thing I do, and it's free. And so if you want to come to the next vision workshop, go to buildershipuniversity.com and then look for the pop-up that tells you how to sign up so that you get notified when these vision workshops are happening. Or if you want to join the free level of Buildership University, you can also get notified when vision workshops are happening there. All right, I think I've talked about those big announcements, and now let's talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. Even when I was a teacher, I saw this. This is a thing that I think is especially true in education. We're afraid to fail, and we start students very early teaching them to be afraid to fail. Nobody wants an F. Everybody is ashamed of an F. And it carries through into adulthood, and it carries through into how we run our schools. I was talking to a group last week, and I was talking about this 100% vision and why it was so important. And you get to see everybody kind of seize up because they said, if we put that out there, what if we don't make it? And my question was, but what if you did make it? Yeah, it's a risk. But I'd rather take a risk on 100% than a risk on 5%. I've talked about this before. It drives me nuts when people say, oh, we're going to make 5% gain this year. Because 5% sets the bar so low that if you fail, it's really, really embarrassing. If you shoot for 100%, And instead of getting to 100% in that year, you only make 10% or 20% gains. You're way better off than setting that safe little 5% gain and risking failing that than setting a 100% gain. Even if you fail at 100%, you're still further along than you would have been playing it safe with 5%. And so I see a lot of people hurting themselves by playing it safe, being afraid to fail. And so what they do is they spend weeks, kind of overanalyzing the problem or weeks getting all the things in place they need to get started. And those are weeks that students are not getting what they need. Those are weeks where everybody is so busy covering their own behinds and trying to make sure that they don't fail, that they are neglecting the people that we're supposed to be serving. Those are weeks of creating more anxiety and pressure and weeks of talking ourselves out of trying anything, so that by the time we get started, the work that we're doing is a version of what we set out to do, but a safer version. And because it feels safer, we don't risk anything. We don't try. And so we lose out on the rewards that only come by taking a risk. And I find that a lot of leaders, especially the higher they get in leadership, the further you go, the more risk averse you become. And that's pretty sad, because our students deserve people who are willing to take risk for them. Our students are never going to achieve what we know they could achieve if we are unwilling to bet on them, to take a risk on our students. And so I'm not talking about recklessness here, but there's a long way there's a big difference between recklessness and taking smart, calculated risk on behalf of children, learning from those risks and getting better. And so the difference between leaders and builders is that leaders avoid failure. And so what they do is they play it safe. They overanalyze, they overplan, or they go spend a ton of money trying to buy a program that's already quote unquote proven in order to feel safe. Even if that program isn't a good fit for their culture or their students' needs, they'd rather do that than feel unsafe and risk failure. Builders are different. With builders, we're human. We have the same fears about failure that other people have. But what builders do different is that because we know that failure can be scary, we don't spend a whole bunch of time trying to avoid failure. What we do is we say, not only is failure scary, but it's inevitable. So what we want to do is we want to fail fast. And that's the difference. Builders fail, but the difference between how a builder fails and how a leader fails is that a leader spends a whole bunch of time preparing only to fail and wasting all this time and energy and effort trying to avoid failure only to fail. Whereas builders don't waste a whole bunch of time and effort trying to avoid failure. It's inevitable. We try to fail as quickly as possible so that we can learn from our failures and set ourselves up for the next big success. It's not that we're reckless. It's not that we're just kind of running around and taking risks that harm children. Instead, we're willing to take risks that serve our children. And even if we fail at those risks, we know that the payoff comes from the learning we get from those failures. And as a result, we fail fast, but then we build on those failures and turn those failures into success later on. So let's talk about the benefits of failing fast. And then we'll end this episode today talking about some ways that you can consider to help you fail fast, overcome your fear of failure, and actually take some really smart risk on behalf of your students that put you in a better space very quickly this school year. So the first reason that builders are willing to fail and choose to fail fast is that there is some learning that only comes as a result of failure. Think about it. If you don't risk anything, if you don't try anything, if you only play it safe, then you never try anything new. You go with the things that are tried and true. There's something to be said for trying new things, learning from those new things, making investments in stepping outside of your comfort zone so that you can learn something that expands your comfort zone, but also expands your ability to be successful. There's some people who say, well, we've always done it this way and that's the way it's going to work. And as a result, they cut themselves off from new learning, from new ideas, from exposing themselves to different perspectives that actually make their work better. The more you stay safe, the less you learn. The more that you get into the habit of failing and failing fast, the more you learn. And there's some learning that you get just from failure that other people don't have access to because they never allow themselves to fail. The second reason that failing fast is so beneficial, and this is why builders do it, is that when you get into the habit of failing fast, instead of having analysis paralysis, you can take action. You can take action sooner. The sooner you take action, the sooner you see whether something's going to work. The sooner you see whether or not something is going to work, the sooner students get the benefits. Or you can pull the plug on something that's not working because you've moved quickly. A lot of school leaders do is they spend all year analyzing and overanalyzing a problem. And it takes a long time to get stuff started because they feel like it has to be perfect before they can take action. And so they put things in place, they delay, they have 100 meetings about it, and nothing ever happens. Meanwhile, builders have done 3 different things. They've tried 3 different things. 1 failed, 2 worked, and they have taken action. Their students are receiving the benefits from their actions, and they've learned from that 1 failure, and that learning from that 1 failure has made the other 2 things that they're working on even better. So while the leaders are over there kind of analyzing things to death, the builders are already taking action. And when you choose to fail fast, it gives you permission to take action. In business, they have a term called MVP. It's not most valuable player. It's minimal viable product. When new businesses want to try something new and they're not sure it's going to work yet, they don't spend months and months and months investing in it. They figure out what is the minimal viable product we can take out to market. Because even though they have their best guess about what's going to work, what consumers are going to like, they don't know until they actually put it out in the market. Even though they think this is something consumers want, they won't know for sure until someone actually buys it. So rather than spending a whole bunch of time and energy and money in something that may not be appealing to consumers, they take the minimal viable product. They put it out there. If someone buys it, then they're like, great, we know this idea will work. Then they deliver that minimal viable product to people to see what people really want, what they like, and people give them feedback. And then they show them how to make it get better. And then they release the full version of the product. But the product they are very confident is going to work because they have already released that minimal viable product. Well, why don't we do the same thing in schools? We spend months trying to get everybody trained on a new reading program when we don't even know if that reading program is going to work. Why not find some of the master teachers in your building and have them implement the new reading program while everybody else is just focusing on your current program and getting better at being reading instructors? Your master teachers can play with the new program, pick it apart, see what works, see what doesn't work. And because you're giving it to your master teachers, the people who are most masterful at making things work, they can work out the kinks first because they're the best equipped to do that. Then, once they've worked out the kinks and you know it's going to work, then you can roll it out to the rest of your staff. But you're not rolling out the same product you started with. The master teachers have made it better. They've made it fit your kids. They've worked out the kinks. So when you roll it out to everybody else, the PD is more relevant. We know now that the program will work. We have case studies and we have exemplars about how it's worked. We have people who have made it work who are now available to mentor other people. Why on earth would we roll out a program to everybody all at once when we don't even know it's going to work? That's a lot of time, energy, and investment that's wasted. Why not instead pilot it with a few master teachers first, get it right, know it works, and then roll it out? Here's another example of a way that you can create a minimal viable product. Let's say that you are doing something new, some program, some new thing inside of your school. Rather than try to do the whole thing at once, you can step people into it. You can start out by getting people excited. You can pull the basic pieces of the program and get people trained on that first. Then see if it works. Tell people we're going to try this out in a minimal way for the next 90 days, and then we're going to learn from it. One of the reasons builders even use a 90-day planning cycle is to allow them to do those kinds of experiments throughout the year, learn from them, and then when they know they have something that works, then launch it full scale. So let's say you're starting a new grading and reporting policy. Rather than just launching the whole thing full scale, pick the pieces that you think are going to have the biggest impact. Get those up and running first. Tell people we're going to try it out for the next 90 days. Tell the kids, the parents, the students, and then we're going to learn from it. We're going to collect feedback from it. And once we have that feedback and we learn from it, then we can decide, is this something that is working and we should expand, or is it not working and we should kill it? That way, you haven't wasted a whole year on a project that's not working. Instead, you can find out very quickly, is it working? And if so, how? And when you actually launch it, it's better. That's one of the reasons why you want to fail fast. That's why you don't want to spend all this time making things perfect before you launch it, because you can't make it perfect. You have to test it out in the real world. You need people to break it and play with it first so you can see how it's going to work in your school. So instead of trying to do things full scale, fail like a builder, fail fast. Create an MVP, a minimal viable product, a minimal viable version of that thing you want to roll out. Let people play with it first. Let them break it. Give it a time limit, 90 days. Learn from it, study, and then if it works, then roll it out to everybody else. Another benefit of failing fast is that you really mitigate some of the big things about failure that make failure so scary. If you invest all year long trying to get a program up and running, and then it doesn't work, how devastating is that? If you've invested a couple of weeks in trying to get something up and running and it doesn't work, it's no big deal. You didn't waste a whole year trying to do it. You don't have that sunk cost fallacy where you feel like you have to keep working at something because you've already spent so much time and money on it. It's a short loss. You take the lessons and you go do something else. When you try to avoid failure and take everything and make it safe before you get started, you actually increase your risk. When you move quickly and fail fast, you decrease the risk because you haven't invested a whole bunch of time and money in it. So, this whole thing about avoiding failure actually backfires on you because you end up making failure way more devastating. If you actually run after failure, if you fail fast, it's not like you're trying to fail, but you want to move quickly and learn from things before failure has a chance to be this big devastating thing, then it's no big deal. You just move on. You may have wasted a couple of weeks on something that didn't work. And it isn't even a waste because if you can learn from it, then those couple of weeks that you spent on something that didn't work are just the tuition. They're just the price of admission to something even greater. Another reason why builders like to fail fast is that not only are they learning something for themselves, but they're teaching, they're modeling, they're showing staff and students that it's okay to fail. You end up shifting your entire school culture because when they see you being willing to fail and fail fast and learn from that failure, other people feel safe to fail. So when you choose to fail fast, you actually create safety for everybody else. You see, the students are looking at the adults in the building, and if the adults are afraid of failure, the students are going to be afraid of failure. I remember when I was teaching and I was saying, oh, no, it's okay to fail. And yet I was playing it safe. I never wanted to fail. And my kids were like, okay, yeah, sure, it's okay to fail. Why don't you fail? When I started this idea of failing fast, I would say, okay, we're going to try this. We're going to see how it works. And we're going to learn from it. And I don't know if it's going to work or not, but let's all try together. When the kids started seeing me take those kinds of risks, when they started seeing me fail, when I would come and say, yesterday we started down a path. I thought it was going to work. It worked in my head, but it's not working for you. So let's stop. Let's regroup. Let's talk about why didn't it work? What do we learn from it? And what can we do to make it better for you? When they heard me do that, when they saw that transparency around my process, they felt like partners in their own education and they felt freer to fail as well. So when you get in the habit of failing fast, you create that safety. So you should be transparent about things. Listen, I don't know if this is going to work or not. I think it's going to work and here are the reasons why. These are some of my reservations. Let's try it. Let's give it 90 days. We're going to focus on it for 90 days. And during that 90 days, we're not just going to keep throwing good money after bad or keep throwing good effort after bad. During that 90 days, let's see what works. Let's learn from it. Let's continually collect feedback. Let's make adjustments in real time. It's only 3 months. And in that 3 months, we're going to learn a lot. And if it's not working at the end of 3 months, we don't have to continue to do it. And at the end of that 3 months, if it's working, let's double down. If it's not working, let's learn from it. And I'm okay with the fact that it may not work, but let's try. When you bring that kind of transparency to the process, you model for your students, for their families, for the teachers and the staff members, this idea that this is a place of learning. And learners, in order to fail, you got to learn. Learners aren't afraid of failing. It's a part of the learning process. What we do is when we try to avoid failure, we lose the benefits that failure can bring. When you try to avoid failure, you end up creating a bigger mess. You end up making failure worse rather than embracing failure, failing fast, picking yourself up and moving on. At the end of the year, you will have done more, you will have learned more, and you will have achieved more for your students because you chose to fail fast like a builder. Now, if you've been intrigued by all of this and you want a safe place to fail fast, come on into Buildership University, because that's where we do it. Buildership University is a safe place. Nobody is competing for your job. Nobody hates you. Nobody is going to laugh at you. Nobody's going to judge you. When you come inside of Buildership University, we create a place for you to fail fast out of the public eye. So one of the things that you're doing in Buildership University is you are installing the parts of the Buildership model into your school. So you're creating a vision. And if you're not sure about your vision, rather than saying, okay, I think I got it, I know how to create a builder's vision, and going out and creating a vision, you're creating a vision that you then practice on us first. We give you feedback. We give you the pushback so that when you share it with your staff, you know you can feel confident in the vision that you have because you failed fast inside of Buildership University. You're also creating systems. You're creating systems around feedback and support and accountability and culture. And so before you go and install those systems into your school, you do them inside of Buildership University and you get individualized feedback on each system before you install it. So that way, if there's something that's not working, you can fail very fast inside of Buildership University and not in front of your staff. And then you can learn from that failure so that when you go in front of your staff, you can feel really confident about what you've done because you know that what you've done is you've already failed at it. You know how to fix it and you know how to make sure that it doesn't fail again. So that way you can go out and be in front of people and you're not bumbling around or stumbling or feeling funny about it. Now, does it mean that every time you walk out in front of your people, you're perfect? No, but you have an opportunity to kind of vet your ideas and vet your processes with a group of colleagues first, so that when you go out in front of people and you're leading them in this fail fast environment, you can feel confident that you will model proper failure, that even if it fails, that how you fail will create more safety in your staff. How you fail will create more learning because you've already gotten the practice of failing fast inside of Buildership University. So it's not that Buildership University protects you from failure, but it gives you a safe place to begin to create your fail fast muscles so that when you start to go out in front of other people, you're not scared of failing because you've been failing safely inside of Buildership University and learning from that and getting better and better and better. So here's your challenge this week. I want you to ask yourself, are you playing it safe? Is the work that you're doing on a day-to-day basis designed to advance your vision, or is it designed to protect you from failure? And if you find that you're playing it safe, then I want to urge you to just take the chance and fail fast. Stop avoiding failure. Get it out there. Learn from it. Experiment. Use that 90-day planning cycle to help you launch things quickly and learn from them so that students can get the benefit as quickly as possible. Now, a lot of people are worried because they say, if I keep failing like that and launching, people are going to get whiplash. My teachers are burned out already. You know why your teachers are burned out? Because instead of creating an environment where failure is okay, we're creating an environment where failure is still not okay, and they're failing at their work, and there's no recourse for them. They're burned out because we're saying we still have to help students learn. They're playing it safe, doing the things that they feel safe doing, students still aren't learning, and they're working harder and harder and harder at something that isn't working because there's no mechanism for them to shift gears. There's no mechanism for them to let go of something that's not working. It's just piling on and on and on. That's why your teachers are burned out. In a fail-fast environment, your teachers can say, listen, this isn't working. We got to do something different. All right, let's talk about what that needs to be. All right, let's create an MVP for that thing and let's get it out there and let's see if it works before we invest any more time and energy into it. Okay, that's not working. Well, let's look for something else. Oh, that is working. Let's double down on it. That's something we can build. And they can go in building that thing with confidence because they did the experiment with it first. They know how it works. So instead of overwhelming teachers in a fail-fast environment, you actually have teachers who feel energized. You know what to take off their plates. They know what to focus on. They don't feel obligated to continue to do something that isn't working. They instead can go find something that will work. So I know it's scary, but I want to challenge you this week that if you're playing it safe, stop and start failing like a builder. I'll talk to you next time. Hey, if you're ready to get started being a builder right away, then I want to invite you to join us at Buildership University. It's our exclusive online community for builders just like you, where you'll be able to get the exact training that you need to turn your school into a success story right now with the people and resources you already have. Inside, you'll find our best online courses, live trainings with me, tons of resources, templates, and exemplars, and monthly live office hours with me where you can ask me anything and get my help on whatever challenge you're facing right now. If you're tired of hitting obstacle after obstacle and you're sick of tiny little incremental gains each year, if you're ready to make a dramatic difference in your school right now, then you need to join Buildership University. Just go to buildershipuniversity.com and get started writing your school success story today.